ask us if we're feeling sick, it's because we show some kind of gesture of physical pain. It could be a hand of our bellies indicating abdominal pain, some rash, or even paleness. Those symptoms that are so very obvious. To some of us, asking if someone feels well when they show them becomes second nature, an involuntary reaction to an everyday calamity. But what happens when we're talking about seemingly invisible illnesses? Today, we'll adventure into the jungle of something as common as the flu, but as feared as the skeletons in our closets. The World Health Organization defines health as the state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. As a culture, we tend to overlook this concept, and we think that because we look healthy and we can breathe correctly and our bellies are filled, then we're healthy individuals. If we base ourselves on the previous definition, this is entirely wrong, and it makes us overlook an important situation that has led us to a health crisis: our mental health. A study made by the World Health Organization found out that in low to medium income countries, about 85% of the population that suffers from mental health goes untreated or never seeks help at all. Imagine if the same case would apply to a physical illness. Let's say yellow fever. Masses will drop dead in the instant due to the non-existent attention they will receive. NGOs and newscasts all over the world will turn mad crazy over this crisis. Havoc will arise in the twilight of silence. Yet this doesn't happen with mental health. Why? There's a big cloud hovering our perception sky. This great giant is called stigma. One day, I was talking to a dear friend of mine about an encounter he had had with anger the night before that had already presented itself in his past. As a breaker of taboos, I went on and asked him if he had ever considered visiting a shrink or going to a psychologist. His immediate response was, "Hey, I'm not crazy, I don't need that." How many of us has side-looked or thought badly about someone coming to us regarding they visiting a psychologist or going to a shrink? Or even just telling us that they have been advised to do so. We adore to put all of our paraphernalia, all of our issues under dirty rocks. We adore to use a mechanism called rock sweeping, in which we know that there's something wrong, but we simply prefer to ignore it because it is so much easier to do so. The advice of cleaning up our rooms goes farther than we could have ever imagined. Yet, there's little willingness to do so. Another friend told me that she used to keep a diary, but she stopped writing. The notebook will not judge you, but what about us? What about us judging ourselves? She stopped writing because she couldn't handle the colors she herself painted on her notebook. Firestones of gray and black adorn her pink pages. But nevertheless, that was her reality. What reality aren't you facing? Remember that health is not merely the absence of disease. There's the biggest barrier to our fluid process regarding mental health in our lives is stigma. Stigma that awakens feelings of shame, fear to be discriminated or alienated, and in some cases, fear to be fired, which is A, illegal because they cannot fire you for having a mental condition, or at least in safe environments, bullying brings great consequences for the perpetrator, and B, not necessary because having a mental condition doesn't stop you from being a functional human being, from developing great relationships, working or studying. And if your condition does stop you from doing that, chances are you're not being treated correctly and you deserve to look help. It is time that we acknowledge that living with a silent monster is one of the farthest things that inhabits the happy list of things in life. Cambridge found out in a study that the roots of this stigma lie on the feeling of I can manage it all by myself, I don't need anyone, and the brushing aside of this subject, rug sweeping. A couple days ago, I found a piece that exactly portrays my situation regarding this stigma. Poetry is the rain that makes my flowers grow. It is a stitch in my heart after it has been broken time after time. Poetry knows me better than my mother and father. Poetry knows me better than I know myself. Paper dried my tears when no one else did. My pen held my hand when everyone left. Poetry is my past, my present, my future, and my thoughts. Poetry had to be made by God Himself, specifically for me. Each of us has that thing we do whenever we want to escape our reality and act as if the weight of the world resides on our shoulders. For some of us, it's binging Netflix, reading, writing, and in some cases, go out and partying. Nevertheless, there comes a time in which we have to face our reality. We have to face the consequences of ignoring our mental health. We live in a community and we are connected by invisible webs. Whatever happens on the other gardens does indeed affect ours. Our mind is so strong that if we don't clean the garbage inside of it, it will spill itself all out, slowly by slowly, through our actions, through our words. That's why, as a community, it is a prime task to help each other, to acknowledge that there is a problem, that it will not go away by simply ignoring it, that it deserves the attention. There are infinite ways in which you can help yourself. This is what you need to do. If you don't trust anyone, if you're in the position in which you believe you cannot trust anyone, there are tons of resources online, like these ones. It is on our hands to acknowledge that every issue that resides on our lives depends on us. Once you turn the switch of awareness on and define that the problem depends on you, you have bought yourself a little friend that will be with you the rest of your lives. Congratulations. Thanks.